Hello friends, I welcome you all from HLT of Tech channel, and today we are going to discuss a very important video in which we will first discuss the points, then we will go to the practical demonstration part in same video. First of all, as you all know that SharePoint search service is a very useful feature of SharePoint on-premise environment, which Microsoft has given you a facility. You create search service in your environment and use this service to facilitate users with your search provision in documents or in sites or people, etc. So we will discuss all of the important aspects of SharePoint search service, which as a SharePoint administrator you must know before you configure any SharePoint search service in your on-premise environment. So let's start with the video. First of all, such service in SharePoint is a facility that requires to be configured in order to facilitate users with following features. Before discussing these features, let me tell you that SharePoint search facility is not available in the out of the box solution which you configure uh, in your on-premise environment. Giving this facility of search, you have to configure it. Okay, we have already created search service in our previous videos step by step, and if you haven't watched that video, I recommend you to go to my channel and watch that video. Right now we are going to discuss some important points that are required before interacting or configuring your SharePoint search service. First of all, SharePoint search service is very beneficial in giving you an in-content searching. It means that if you want to search any keyword that exists within some documents, you can do so by using this service. Similarly, you can even search by giving the passphrase. For that, you have to simply put inverted commas before and after the sentence, and the complete passphrase or the sentence it will find out, and in which document it will exist, it will tell you. So it is a very important feature, just like the Google search engine and some different search engines which are available on internet. It gives you same type of search facility. Similarly, there is a multiple content searching facility. It means that you want to search different type of keywords in one document. You want that, let's say, you have some financial matters and you have got a profit of rupees 25,000, let's say. So you want that all these three keywords that exist in some particular document may be searched from the repository. So what you will do, you will simply type financial, then space, then profit, then space, then rupees 25,000. So SharePoint search service will carry out its query, and it will give you the required content in which all of these three keywords will exist. So it's a very powerful search facility that is offered by SharePoint search service in an on-premise environment as well. Okay, it also gives you a facility of searching by content type. For example, you want to search any keyword and you want to limit it to search only in PDF documents, or whether in PowerPoint documents, or only in MS Word related documents. So you search by content type. Similarly, you can search by the writer, or uh, whoever is the creator of that document. Similarly, you can also search by created or modified date. For example, I want to search the documents which have been created in last month or in the current week. I can apply these filters. So these all things have been configured in the search. In fact, we have configured a search center in our previous video. So these all facilities are available, and you can they are available in a default template that is being offered by SharePoint 2019. And now in SharePoint server subscription model, even SharePoint is giving you a very modern interface of search template as well, that you can use as a search center of your organization. So if we talk about what you should know about SharePoint search service. So first of all, after this slide, we will cover the uh, practical demonstration as well. First of all, you should know that search service can be configured in multiple ways. What are these ways? First of all, you can configure a SharePoint application. You can configure SharePoint as a additional role in existing application server of SharePoint. What are application server, what are front end server, what are databases servers, we have already talked in detail in our previous videos, so I'm not going into the detail right now in this video. uh, just I want to tell you that there is an application server in which some SharePoint applications are or services are configured. So if you have a small environment in which there are you can say not many large number of documents, preferably you have in thousands of documents, not in millions. Okay, so what if you have such type of environment, a small company, then you can configure an additional role of SharePoint search in the existing application server, but you have to configure a separate search server with such databases in existing database server if you have a large organization. Let's say you are planning to develop a document center or a document repository or any SharePoint sites in which you which will facilitate millions of users, sorry, millions of documents. There are a large number of departments, and you know that its size will grow very rapidly. So for that purpose, it is always recommended that you configure a separate search server. What is the reason? Let me tell you just in few seconds. The crawlers that are configured while when you create a search service take a lot of CPU and memory of your server on which it is deployed or configured. So uh, as a best practice, if you are configuring search for crawling billions of documents, then it is always recommended that you create an application server with a separate role of search, or it's known as a dedicated search service in your farm. It has only the purpose of crawls and indexing. It has no other purpose of entertaining any request of user except the query request of users. In fact, you can also if you are dealing with trillions of documents, okay, if let's say we are going beyond millions, then what you should do, then it is recommended that you uh, configure a separate search server with separate database server. Okay, uh, in this scenario that we are just talking about, the third one, in this you configure a separate search server and you dedicate a separate database server. You create an additional database server in which only the databases of search will be created, and all the query and crawl logs will be written on that database. So it means that your actual database in which the document are stored may not have additional load of search databases. So let's go into the demonstration part of this slide. I'm going into central admin, and I'm going into manage service applications, and here I'm going into search service application. Okay, this is the admin interface of search service in SharePoint 2019 on-premise environment. You must be familiarized with that interface. We configured this service in our previous videos. You all know if you are my subscribers and watching my videos continuously. First of all, the database server. What is the name of the database server? That is DB. And in that DB server, there are four databases. The first one is administration database. The second one is analytical reporting database. The third one is crawl database, and the last one is linked database. Whenever you create any search service, these four databases are created by default. Okay, and there are some components of the search which are interacting with these databases. And what are these components? These components are shown here: admin, crawler, content processing, analytic processing, query processing, and index partition. And what are these green indicators showing? These are showing that all of these components connectivity with the database, that are these is fine, and there is no need of doing anything, uh, or in fact you can say all is fine, all is well. Okay, let us go into the database server and see that whether these databases exist in database server. That is my database server. I'm going to take the remote. If we expand the databases, here you are seeing that these are the databases of which I was talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, are the databases in which your application server search service is writing the or interacting with through its components. Okay, I think that's all clear up till now. Okay, one more thing, we talked about this point. This point says that separate search server with separate database server. Why? Right now I have configured the search service with within an existing database. It means that here you are seeing that all of my documents are stored in HLTF Tech company. I have created a website of HLTF Tech company, and here I am going to save all the documents. It means that all the read write requests of the users are coming from the SharePoint server to the database. So if there are millions of documents and there are thousands of users that are interacting, it means that there will already be a load of read write on these databases. So what are you doing? You are creating an additional load of search service as well as search query which the users are doing on the same database server. So it's never recommended whenever you are dealing with thousands of users with millions of documents. So for that purpose, you create an additional database server. You configure the SharePoint search application as a separate application, and you define the database there, a separate database server, so that the search, crawling, indexing, and query load may not come on the database server in which your document repository is there. Okay, coming to the next slide, that is what you can do in such service. Right now we assume that we have successfully created the search service, and now we are going to interact with the SharePoint search service administration point of view, and we have to manage all the daily routines. So for that purpose, multiple content sources crawlers can be configured. Okay, that's fine. In your search service you can create multiple content search crawlers. For example, you are entertaining you are giving the service of two web applications, one for social website and one for document center. Okay, want to do, you want that separate content sources may be configured, so that separate crawls are configured for your social website and separate crawls are configured for your document repository website. So for that purpose you are going into creating multiple content sources crawlers. We are in search administration, and here there is a point of content sources. I will click here. By default, whenever you create a search service application, by default this is created. uh, by default, whenever you create a search service application, all the existing websites are automatically uploaded here by the search service. Now if you want that there are multiple websites and you want that they must be configured through separate uh, content sources, because you want that they may be scheduled at different time, their priority may be different. So what you do, you go and you create a new content source, you name it, and you define what type of content source it is, you define the URL of the web application, or after that same rules you configure for it and you click on OK. So in this way you can create multiple content sources here. Okay, now the next thing is that preventive crawl rules, that is very important. Let me tell you through a simple example. This is our website. If you remember, we created it together in our previous videos. Now what I want to do, this is my main company and the name of my company is HLTF Tech Company Limited. I have four departments, that is log and supply chain department, HR department, finance department and QA department. And for each department I have configured a separate site collection. Okay, you want that this site collection may not appear in the search results, or in other words what management wants that you are not giving the facility of search in log and supply chain department. So whenever your crawls will come to the top website, they will see that in which websites they are allowed. Okay, if you have defined this in search crawl rules, it will automatically crawl everything below it, or the site collections that exist within the web application. I don't want my search crawlers to enter this site collection, that is this one, and crawl this site. Okay, so I'm going to copy it and I'm going into central admin search service administration, and I'm going to define a crawl rule. Here I'm going to define a new crawl rule, and here I'm going to click on path, and I am clicking this item that exclude all items in this path. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. So this is telling me that this site will be excluded whenever the main site or the site all site collections will be crawled. So next time whenever I will run my crawls, it will include this site collection, that is log and supply chain, from the from crawling or searching facility. Okay. Reindexing search logs, this one is very important thing. Let us talk about a scenario in just few seconds. You have done a major changes in your environment. Rather they are user level permissions, rather they are document level permissions, and now you want that all the logs, all the search index of your site may be washed, may be cleared, and may become as 00. In our terms we say 00. We are saying that we want all the search indexing that has been carried out till date may be cleaned, and now we want that our search crawlers may start crawling from scratch. So that for that purpose we use the reindexing search logs facility. How we do so? And here we go into index reset. Okay, first of all let me tell you, before indexing reset, let me show you the crawl logs. Right now my local SharePoint site has been crawled and it has given me 117 successes, 0 warning, 0 errors, 0 top level error and 0 deletes. If I click on 117, These are all the documents and sites that have been crawled successfully. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I want that all uh, let me also show you this was the URL review and this was the content sources. Now I want that all of these logs that are occurring here, that are coming from the database, may be wiped out, may become 00, and I want that all my indexing may be carried out from scratch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on index reset, deactivate search alerts, and I'm going to reset now. This may take few minutes or even few hours depending upon the size of data that has already been indexed and is existing in your database. Okay friends, after you are seeing that after re-indexing and doing index reset, you are noticing that all of these logs have become 00. All the previous data has been reset, and now this content source is ready for uh, crawling from scratch. Here you can also verify it. If you click on 0, previously you were seeing there were 118 or 17 logs, but right now there is no log. It has wiped all the logs from the database, and now it's ready for news and new crawl from scratch. So this was about index reset. And now if we talk about the next point, that is defining file types for search. Okay, we can also define file types. That is very easy. If you go into file types, by default there are many file types that have been defined. These all file types are searchable. You can even define new file type if you have, so that it may also be searchable in the crawls. Similarly, you can say that result sources. Okay, what is result sources? If we go and talk about, click here result sources. Here you can see that what are the result sources. By default, SharePoint gives you 16 type of result sources that are appended as below. The first one is conversations. You can search your conversations if you have permissions. Similarly, you can search documents. You can also search item matching a content type, item matching a tag, pictures. You can search pictures by name. You can search pages. Okay, so this was about the search facility or types that are result sources that are provided by SharePoint out of the box, and you can also define the new one. The next thing is that what are the crawler impact rules? Crawler impact rules can be used. Okay, let me tell you that whenever a crawl goes and try to crawl any document that is exist that exist in your SharePoint site, it tries to, if at due to any reason if it's not accessible, it tries a number of times. Okay, it tries a number of times. For example, let me tell you, if you have a encrypted file that is saved in your SharePoint, what crawler will do, it will try to crawl that encrypted file multiple times, but after each time it will get a failure because it can't read the encryption that you have done. So what it will do, this will give an additional impact load to your search server CPUs and resources and RAM resources. So what you do for that purpose, you define the crawler impact rules to distribute the load or to offload the load. For that purpose, you configure add rule, and you define a site. Okay, and you define that request up to the specified number of time at a time, and do not wait between requests. Simultaneous request, you limit the simultaneous request, and you also limit the time. If the crawler is not receiving a response within that time that you have specified here in seconds, it will not do retries again and again, and it will just skip that document. This will make your crawler efficient, and it will also save your resources of your search server as well. Okay, I think it's clear. And we are going to the next part, that is diagnostic. uh, for diagnostic of your search service, there are some points, that is crawl health reports, that are available in diagnostic portion. If I go into search administration, central administration, manage service application, and go into the search administration, here you are seeing the diagnostic part. The first one is crawl log. Crawl log is telling you that what actual crawl it has done, and it's the summary. Through this summary, you can easily identify the warnings, you can easily identify the errors, you can easily identify the top level errors and deletes. What are deletes? Deletes are, for example, there were multiple documents that were not required and your users deleted them. Now, when the crawl will again crawl that site, it will see that the documents that were crawled earlier do not exist right now and they have been deleted. So it will also offload all the indexing that it has already done from the databases. Okay, this is a smart feature of you can say Microsoft SharePoint search crawlers, that it also deletes the deleted files from its databases. Okay, so it just minimizes your time, and its a complex algorithm do all of this work by themselves. So in this content sources, you can see the host name as well, you can see the crawl history as well, you can see the error breakdown, you can have a databases. This is the database of crawl store db, I've already shown you, and this is the URL view. So while learning about next things, let me do one more thing. As we all know that we have done index reset and there is no crawl just right now, uh, I'm going to start the crawl so that uh, up till the finishing of our video, this crawl may be successful. Okay, the next thing is crawl logs. What is the crawl logs? I told you, I've already discussed it. Okay, the next thing is query health reports. Each time when the user query from for the search purpose, it's going from a component of search service, that is query component. So query health reports shows you that what is actual health of query. You can say, if I apply filters, I this is I'm talking about team sites, and if I apply filters, right now I've done index reset, it's not giving me any report, but that's a general overview of query health report. Then the next thing is you can users reports. Okay, just in a second we will review it. Users reports, these are the reports that quite often your top management requires, your boss offers, require that tell me that how many queries the user has performed through for particular documents. You can do so. So what are the important points? This is, I think, the most important part of the video, so keep watching. uh, in just few minutes we are going to uh, close the video and finish it. So before activating search crawlers, be sure about following things. User permission models, that is very important, whether you have applied the unique permissions or the inheritance permission. If you have enabled the inheritance, it means that each and every document within that model or within that site will be accessible to each and every user of your site. But if you have defined the unique permissions, then uh, the search crawler will automatically index and see which user has what right on what document. Okay, so it's very important that if you are defining just a repository of public documents that are that you want that they may be accessible by all people, then inheritance works best in that model. But if you are going to define separate boundaries and separate limitations and separate access to separate documents for separate users, you have to define the unique permissions. We have already making a video about unique and permission inheritance based model. If you are not sure about these models, please go to my channel and watch that video. The second is thing is that quantity of data needed to be crawled. It's very important. For example, if you have thousands of documents and you have configured a search service and you start the crawlers, it gives a very huge impact load on the server during its initial crawl. Okay, or you can say the first time crawl. So it's always recommended that if you have very large number of documents, please perform full crawl or initial crawl in that timing when there is not much load on the servers, or preferably in the off timings of your company. Secondly, you have to schedule the crawls. For scheduling, uh, as a best practice, you configure continuous crawls so that the data that is being crawled may be available to the user quickly in real time. Normally it takes I'm not sure, but it takes about 15 minutes after that it crawl the new documents that are placed in the within that interval. Similarly, you also can as a best practice, you also configure full crawls, and for full crawls you schedule them once in a week, and they are preferably scheduled in off timings. For example, Sunday is your off timing of your company, off holiday of your company, and you schedule it in the night time so that there may not be an additional loads on the server. So scheduling the uh, search crawls are very easy. You just go into the this and you schedule it. Okay, whenever you click or enable continuous crawls, all the continuous crawl will be enabled, and full crawl you can create schedule. Okay, once in a week, once in a month, or as per your requirement. So right now we also you if you remember, we also configured a crawl. We also run that the crawl that was configured, and now if we go into the crawl, you can see that there are 130 sites. Most of my content search is successful, you can see here, and my sites and my documents have been crawled successfully. So this was all about my current video. I request you all to subscribe my channel and continue watching more videos. I thank you all for watching this video.